the first thing that you're going to see is the difference in approach. They don't come in swinging like a lot of agencies do, swinging for the fences really hard, trying to come up with the next, like, point out where all the other agencies are doing things wrong and what they can do that's different compared to everybody else. They come in talking to you like a partner, working with a whole team of people that's aligned in like a full stack. So I'm going to preface this a little bit. Generally speaking, when I work with full stack agencies, I'm typically underwhelmed because I see that each agency, even if they are a full stack agency that offers a full suite of products or services, so to speak, they usually have a core competency that they really gravitate towards. So they'll offer other kind of side services or other services to try to get the whole account, but they just don't have that breadth of competency. They're kind of like adding on to what they primarily do. And I've not seen that with Carbonbox. They have individual subject matter experts in each field, and working with them, and then having a growth manager within that company that kind of unites all those different teams and all those different leaders and subject matter experts to help accomplish your goal as a business. It's a breath of fresh air, honestly. Usually you see that in agencies that are much harder to get into, require much higher monthly spends in marketing, and getting that in a business that's at a critical growth stage, especially early on. It's such a nice change that really makes a big difference. And so when I first started working with Carbonbox, it was refreshing to see that they actually think like entrepreneurs. Most agencies think like agencies, and they think in terms of their agency lifespan and their customer lifespan and all the different things that they need to grow their business, without really thinking about how product businesses think and operate. And that was the first takeaway that I had working with Carbonbox Media, was that they operate like entrepreneurs. They think in a product business way that's just not common in marketing agencies.
I am here with Jared Grover. Jared, do you just kind of want to introduce yourself, your background, how we got to meet each other, and just, some of the projects we've been working on and where you come from, right? A little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I'm with a company named Catalyst. We provide executive level leadership and growth development for product brands primarily. My background specifically is in the product business space. I've been in that for about 15 years. I've grown and exited a couple of different companies. I've lost a couple other ones. So I've had the wins and the losses both, learned lessons both directions. And now, after my most recent project, I'm with Catalyst, and we are helping product businesses grow. So
cool. So Jared, you've worked with quite a lot of companies, and you've had some experiences with quite a few marketing agencies, right? And
yeah.
So when we started to, I guess, start working together, when we met for the first time, I guess, did you not like anything about us? What did you like about us? I guess we can, we've grown quite a few things, and you've been sort of the macro to our micro, which has been awesome. But I guess what made you like us compared to some of the other marketing agencies you've seen out there, right?
Sure. So yeah, great question. So as with every marketing agency that I've worked with over my career, and I've worked with at this point somewhere over, I would say, over 30 different agencies I've worked with.
Wow.
In that, I'm always suspect, and my opinion, or beginning with Carbonbox, was no different. Suspect, not necessarily like outright negative, but just wanting to validate. So when I first stepped in with our first client, Bijou Build, whom we were working with Carbonbox Media to help grow, and so when I first started working with Carbonbox, it was refreshing to see that they actually think like entrepreneurs. Most agencies think like agencies, and they think in terms of their agency lifespan and their customer lifespan and all the different things that they need to grow their business, without really thinking about how product businesses think and operate. And that was the first takeaway that I had working with Carbonbox Media, was that they operate like entrepreneurs. They think in a product business way that's just not common in marketing agencies.
And the irony behind that is your agency does have a longer lifespan if you do have a product focused agency, because guess what? Your clients stick around longer, right? Like if you're looking at COGS, you're looking at OPEX, you're looking at inventory, you're looking at every single cost, like figuring out what profitability actually means, and then formulating a plan based on all that. I mean, if you're a marketing agency watching this at home, like watch you increase your LTV with your clients, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Working with a whole team of people that's aligned in like a full stack. So I'm going to preface this a little bit. Generally speaking, when I work with full stack agencies, I'm typically underwhelmed because I see that each agency, even if they are a full stack agency that offers the full suite of products or services, so to speak, they usually have a core competency that they really gravitate towards. So they'll offer other kind of side services or other services to try to get the whole account, but they just don't have that breadth of competency. They're kind of like adding on to what they primarily do. And I've not seen that with Carbon Box. They have individual subject matter experts in each field, and working with them, and then having a growth manager within that company that kind of unites all those different teams and all those different leaders and subject matter experts to help accomplish your goal as a business. It's a breath of fresh air, honestly. Usually you see that in agencies that are much, much, much harder to get into, require much higher monthly spends in marketing, and getting that in a business that's at a critical growth stage, especially early on. It's such a nice change that really makes a big difference.
Sure. Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that, Jared. And I may or may not use this. It's up to the editor, but we're going to be working together on a few more projects in the future. And so I guess for us, like what would you look for in a business that we could come in and immediately fix? Like what are some of the typical problems that a business may be watching this and would say like, yes, I am struggling with that. And, we are the key to unlock that specific bottleneck. So I guess my question is like, if there was a business owner watching this right now, like what problems would you want them to have where yourself, myself, and then us together could come in and just, fix what's going on, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll answer that by saying the problems that I most commonly see with product businesses that are growing. Typically, I see them where they're setting their marketing budgets based off of hitting performance metrics, which I think is a pretty common practice, but it doesn't speak well to balancing the overall budget of a business. In other words, yeah, as long as we're hitting like 5 or 6 or 7x, whatever our ROAS target is, as long as we're hitting that ROAS target, spend as much as you want. I see that all the time. And what ends up happening is these businesses are just buying their own sales way too early on. They're spending way too much in that. And at the end of the day, yeah, maybe their marketing ROAS looks good. Maybe their paid ads ROAS looks great. But when you back out and look at the overall business itself, your marketing cost is just way, way, way too high overall. And you have an imbalance that's causing you to not be profitable or grow scalably. There's just not a sustainable growth pattern to that. So when I look at businesses that are going to be an ideal fit for our kind of growth, they're going to be businesses that are recognizing that our ROAS may look okay. Maybe there's not a huge problem there, but at the end of the day, we're coming back to our QuickBooks account. We're going, hey, we're still not profitable. Why are we not profitable? What is going on here? And there's a lot of unknowns there. And so we come in and basically help clear things up. We look at your budgets from a holistic perspective, not just the marketing, but overall, and then come up with a great plan that balances your marketing budget against what your business growth plans are. And then from there, we can help develop more sustainable growth targets and then manage according to those. So we're looking for businesses that are really like struggling to figure out why their marketing isn't hitting. They're spending a lot of money. Maybe the ROAS looks okay, but the growth and the cash flow just isn't there. And that's all very, very fixable stuff. And as a jointly with Catalyst and Carbon Box Media, we're great at solving this problem, and we can help businesses get through that growth stall that they usually feel. And like that, I mean, most businesses see it somewhere between 1 to 3 million in annual revenue a year. I've seen it in businesses as high as like 6 to 8 million a year, but it's in that range that they just really get stuck, and it becomes really critical to develop formulas to help build your business and not just performance-based targets that could lead you down a path that looks good, but at the end of the day, it doesn't measure up.
Yeah, and I want to make that crystal clear that like we are also here to get a good ROAS. Duh. right?
Yeah.
But like Jared said, if you go back to the QuickBooks account and 60% of your budget's going to marketing, 40% of your budget's going to marketing, it's if there's one update that could crush your business, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're completely reliant on one acquisition channel, that's just not necessarily set up for success. And you can make a ton of money doing that, but I think something that we do is we build businesses that are built for acquisition. And whether you want to sell your business or not, it's still worth building a business that's built for acquisition, because that means somebody wants your business. Why? Because you have a hell of a business, right? And so I think that's what we do. And again, we could just look at what's going on within your business holistically, from unit economics to manufacturing to wholesale to D2C to everything, right? And
Yep.
we can create a plan of attack to just make sure everything is optimized and as profitable as it could be.
I think the biggest thing is I see a lot of agencies doing like ROAS chasing. I see a lot of ROAS chasing with agencies trying to make sure that they hit the number that they need to for the next call with their client so they can look as good as it possibly can. And they're looking for like those numbers that they can showcase that just make the account look like it's doing a little bit better than it really is. And I don't see that with Carbon Box Media. I see a much more holistic approach that's much more balanced in its entirety, thinking about the growth of the brand specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I work with Carbon Box as a fractional CMO, I'm looking at the overall business objectives and then kind of translating those through actionable steps with Carbon Box. And then Carbon Box Media is getting into the trenches with it, because Meta is changing on a weekly basis, it seems, especially with all of the AI influence that we're seeing with Advantage Plus campaigns and Advantage Plus targeting audiences, all of it. It's so critical to have an agency that is well versed in how to engage and interact with all these changing landscape, really.
Last question I have for you is to those watching at home and they're watching these videos, right? They're on our site. They're like, who is this guy with the mustache? What would you say to somebody who's considering working with us, but maybe on the fence?
That's a great question. I would say, number one, book a call to get an introduction to just understand their process and flow. The first thing that you're going to see is the difference in approach. They don't come in swinging like a lot of agencies do, swinging for the fences really hard, trying to come up with the next, like, point out where all the other agencies are doing things wrong and what they can do that's different compared to everybody else. They come in talking to you like a partner. And so if you're thinking about booking a call with Carbon Box, I would honestly say go for it. Book that call, get familiar with the way that they communicate, the way that they talk through problems, objectives, understand what your business needs are, and then make a plan based on those business needs. That's the biggest thing for me is a fractional CMO, is making sure that I've got an agency that's aligned with the business targets, and getting an agency that's ready to get on board with that vision, even if it is not what they typically do with other clients. Seeing that responsiveness has been a game changer, in my opinion.
So Jared, I believe that's it, man. Thank you for being here. Any final thoughts? I think I'm out of questions on my end.
No, I would just say that if you're a business that feels like you're not able to grow at the rate you want to, and you feel like it's because of cash flow, I promise there are other problems going on that are deeper, that are harder to recognize. And when you pop the hood and really get into the numbers of it, you really need to look at your overall expenses, your overall budget, develop a plan based on that, and don't just look at what my paid ads is doing. That's not enough. You need to look at what your SEO presence is like. What is your site traffic like? What is your site conversion rate? What does your bounce rate look like? What is the click-through rate of your ads? What's the frequency of your ads? There's so many metrics to look at. And if you're just focusing on ROAS, like most people are as business owners, you're not getting enough of the picture, and it will lead you to build an unsustainable business that looks better than it really is. But at the end of the day, you just don't have the money you need to grow. So that's really what I would say.